Hi Gemini, welcome to your week ahead horoscope with me, Raphael from Radiant Reality. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me. Quick note, these readings are for your sun, moon and ascendant sign. So whether you're a sun, moon or rising sign Gemini, this is for you. And I always advise that you watch all three to get a clearer, more complete picture of how they're going to speak to you. With that said, remember they are general readings. Not everything's going to resonate with everybody. That is just fine. You should always use your own discernment. Before we start, as always, I would like to bless my decks of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise. They help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So, for your actions, for your key to the week, and also just a quick note to mention, if you are, I know many of you are, okay, so you've got a jumping card there, and it is, right, it's the High Priestess. For those of you that are wondering, yes, there will be year ahead readings this year, I promise. I've just, obviously, my health has been up and down this year, and, you know, with everything else that I've had going on in the background, I just haven't had the time to get to it. But I promise you, they are on their way to you, and I've got an extra something this year that I think you are absolutely going to love. So stay tuned. Now, your key to the week is the High Priestess card, right? Hidden things are revealed. There's going to be some kind of information, some piece of information that might be shared with you, right? It might be this week for a lot of you that some oh come on brain, this could be a friend, a family member, a significant other. There's going to be someone that shares a secret with you this week, all right? Or potentially you are the person that is sharing the secret. It might be that you're giving words or voice to something that you haven't spoken on for a long time, or maybe even ever. Now, in all of these different sectors of life, it does suggest that there is going to be hidden information that comes to light in some regard. I will say, because it's the first card out for you, trust your intuition. This week, your intuitive faculties are going to be on point, right? So you absolutely want to make sure that you are listening to what it's trying to tell you. Now, for your actions and options this week, you have the Star card. Beautiful. Look at this, right? This is, okay, my dear Geminis, this week you are getting a heads up on something either within your industry. It could be for a select few of you as well. This might be that you overhear a conversation and it's like whatever is shared with you, whether this is somebody that comes to you and says like, look, did you know this is going to be happening in the next few years in our industry? Maybe you are, I don't know, at the train station and you overhear somebody on a phone call and it's like some information that's like really prominent. You are getting the Star card, you're getting a glimpse into the future on something that is not public or common knowledge, right? Something's being shared with you this week that is like, and I gotta say, for those of you that are my Gemini friends, my ride or dies, you know I love you, but whatever you're getting a heads up on, let Rafi in, let me in, I wanna know, right? Okay, I understand you might not be able to share with everybody, but you know, come on, since I'm here giving you the tea, you need to share, right? That being said, yeah, it's like, this is the only way that I can describe it. It's almost like, let's say you're in your office, you're walking down the corridor and you hear hushed voices and you're like, okay, well, there's obviously something going on, and you kind of, you know, maybe you're not going out of your way to eavesdrop, but it's like you overhear a conversation this week that maybe you weren't supposed to be privy to, but the information that you're giving, it's a glimpse into the future. It's like maybe you hear, you know, two of your bosses or your superiors talking about how, yeah, you know, we're going to do this with the department and it's going here and we're going to hire new people and we're getting this new technology, or there's something that you hear, there's some piece of information that's shared with you this week that is beyond its time. It's beyond this current moment, and it could potentially, it has the potential to be very lucrative for you for sure. So whatever that piece of information is, like I said, Rafi needs to know, yeah? With that said, when it comes to the options that are available to you this week, you guys network and communicate better than basically any other sign. Probably aside from Aquarius, actually, when Aquarius can stand people. But the options that are available to you this week, One, there's an option for you to hold space and to really be a safe space for somebody to speak up or to divulge on something. I think that providing that is going to be invaluable for another person, and it might really endear you to them. And two, this is also a potential that you either network, and this might not necessarily be in person, this might be over or through social media. You connect with somebody that ends up really in the future being something quite important to you or to your work. Now, when it comes to your communications and conversations, a real moment there, obviously. When it comes to your communications and conversations, this is, again, new information. This is new connections, new conversations, topics of communication, topics of conversation are coming up for you. And this with the star card, whatever that glimpse into the future is, whatever this piece of information that's being shared with you, I won't go as far as to say it's top secret, but I will say that it's potentially light years ahead of its time. Now, I realise obviously you can't, if that's the case, not all of you will be able to write it in the comments, but email me, darling. Jokes aside, for those of you that are studying or students or in some form of academia, this actually does suggest a shift or a change in the way that your information is delivered. For some of you, this looks like you are really thinking about, what am I going to do in my gap year? If I don't have a gap year, what am I going to do in, how am I going to develop myself and my career whilst studying or with whatever it is that I'm taking on board? Something new is emerging here when it comes to your studies. And I think for a lot of you, you're going to start to really... you're going to start to move into a space where you take whatever it is that you're learning to a completely different level or in a different direction than you started. For those of you that are employed by somebody else, again, this is new information that comes in. And I don't think that it's shocking. It's more a case of like... Can you imagine, like, I remember, and it didn't make I was impressed because I was like, oh wow, that sounds amazing. But I was so young that it didn't really have the impact on me that it would as an adult. I remember watching TV and I remember seeing on the news when they cracked the human genome. Now that was a big deal, right? Across the scientific community, like it was a really big deal it's a huge deal for all of us. At the time I was so young, darling, that it didn't really have that impact on me. Whereas if I saw that on the news now, I'd be like, oh damn, like, that's amazing. There's some new piece of information that's coming in through your work, through your industry, something that you're seeing that you're going to be like, whoa, like this is a big deal. For those of you that are business owners, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, people that work for themselves, again, same stuff. And a lot of it seems to be happening behind closed doors. It's not common knowledge yet. And, I'm really intrigued by this even more so. If you've been with me a while, one of the things that I always do when I'm doing the weeklies, I always pay attention to what's coming up for the Aries, because Aries is kind of the first sign, but also for the Geminis, because Gemini rules the media. And so whatever shows up in the Gemini reading, sometimes you see this out there on the wider world stage. So trust me, I will have my ears to the ground this week for sure. And then finally, for those of you that are retired and no longer working, this is new lease on life. There's something that really brings a newfound sense of youth to you, as if you need it. Geminis seem to age backwards, or they're kind of like the Benjamin Button of the zodiac. Well, no, that's actually more Capricorns and Aquarians. They tend to age backwards, but Gemini just looks perpetually young. It's like, oh, sorry, if you got any ID. I'm 45. Do you know what I mean? And I've actually seen that happen to somebody that I know is a Gemini. They got ID'd for buying alcohol in a supermarket. Hilarious. For your communications, for your love and relations, you've got the Seven of Wands. If you are single, you are potentially talking to somebody online. Maybe, this person lives at a distance from you, and that Seven of Wands suggests that you are wanting to fight for whatever this connection is. You believe that there is something there, and they do as well. That Seven of Wands does suggest that you might go about things in different ways, and it potentially causes a bit of a clash. So you just need to be sort of mindful of that. For those of you that are partnered, married, or in long-term commitments, there's some kind of disapproving energy that comes from the outside world, whether this is family, whether it's friends, whether it's your partner has rubbed, one of your friends up the wrong way, or something that they've done to you rubs up watch out for that. This is not a week to, go to the friends or the family and say, they've done this to me, and because you might cause more of a rift than you realise this week. For your money and materials, you've got the King of Wands, usually a fire sign male, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. Because you've got this with the High Priestess, this is some kind of financial move, contract even, potentially, some kind of financial move or transaction that's made that you are keeping very close to your chest. Because it comes up with the King of Wands, it does suggest to me, and the Star card is very close by, it does suggest that this is something for your future. So this could be, again, maybe you are, I don't know, starting a new business. Maybe you are, setting up a business account. There's something to do with money that you're keeping very close to your chest this week. When it comes to your physical health and vitality, I actually like the King of Wands for health and vitality, because it usually suggests that you're very robust. You've got more than enough energy to do everything that you need to do this week, but you're doing it all in silence and secret. There's very cloak and dagger this week with the Geminis, and usually, maybe it's coming up so strong like that because usually you guys are like an open book. Like everything that you do, it's just like out there for everyone to see. When it comes to your home and environment, that Nine of Wands must be the reason why I'm king of my castle. Like that's what I'm hearing in my head. This is, I don't think is that you're setting boundaries in the home. I do feel like you are reaffirming something with the home though. And this week you might have to pull rank, you might have to set a really firm boundary. If you've got children, especially teenagers, this might be there. And it may be that you discover something about one of your children and you're like, oh crap, they're growing up. Right, this is one of those like kids have found the matches kind of scenarios. So just something to be mindful of. All right, with that said, I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Let me know in the comments how it shapes up. Take care, and I'll see you soon.